What's up, guys? Today is Thursday the 21st. This is math class. Today we're going to go over how to add fractions from the 6 problems that I gave you guys yesterday. We're going to use the ladder method. There will be some converting of improper fractions into mixed numbers for some of these problems. And if you notice that some of the answers that you guys are going to see were maybe a little bit of a surprise because they were either improper or they were a whole number, meaning that they equaled 1. Or in some cases, both of the denominators were already factored down as far as possible, so you had no choice but to multiply them in order to get your equivalent fraction. All right, so your assignment for today is 1 hour of IXL, and I would like for you guys to try to practice adding fractions on IXL. All right, so with that, let's jump into the answers from yesterday's problems. All right, guys, here we go. All right, guys, let's take a look at the answers from yesterday's problems. So that's Wednesday's fractions problems. So as you can see here, I've given you guys the answers for 4, 5, and 6. Or sorry, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And in one case here, you guys noticed that it ended up being 21 over 21, which is the equivalent of 1. And in this particular case here, 7 9ths plus 8 18ths, that gives us an improper fraction of 22 18ths, which by now we should have learned to convert back into 1 and 6 18ths, which if you know that 6 and 18 have an LCM of 6, and you divide that by 6, you actually end up getting 1 and 1/3 from that, because we divide both the numerator and the denominator by the lowest common multiple, which is 6, which gives us 1 and 1/3. All right. And in this one here, the reason I said this one was different yesterday is because the lowest number that both of these can go into is 111. There is no other number that they can go. So that's the greatest common factor for both of these, which made it a little more tricky to use the ladder method. But hopefully you realize that 1 was the prime number that could go into both of these, which meant that you had to actually multiply 11 by 10 to give you 111, and that gave you 82 over 111. All right, so let's go over these first two. So we have 2/5 plus 3/15. So here we go. All right, so we have 2/5 plus 3/15. All right, so we're going to use our ladder method here. We're going to put our 5 and our 15 inside of our ladder. All right, so what is the smallest prime number that can both go into 5 and 15? That would be 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1. 5 divided by 15 is 3. That means that our LCM is in fact 5. And our GCF is 5 times 1, which is 5 times 3 is 15. All right. So that means that our two new equivalent fractions are going to both have denominators of 15. Okay. And in order to get to that 15, the first thing we have to do here is figure out how many times 5 goes into 15. That answer is 3. All right, because 5 times 3 equals 15. But since we did that to the bottom, we must also do it to the top. All right, so 2 times 3 is 6. And then over here, because 15 is conveniently already used, all we have to do is multiply that by 1, which keeps it the same. We multiply both the top and bottom by 1. 3 times 1 is 3. So that gives us a total of 6 plus 3 is 9/15. All right. So the answer to 2/5 plus 3/15 is 9/15. All right. Hopefully you can see that. Sorry. There you go. All right. Let's do our last one here. All right, our next problem that we want to look at is 7/8 plus 8/24. All right, 7/8 plus 8 24ths. Okay, so we're going to use our ladder method. We're going to put our two numbers that are our denominators into our ladder. So 8 and 24. All right, and as I've told you guys before, anytime that both numbers are even, then that's going to mean that the lowest prime number that we can use in this ladder method is in fact 2. All right, so 2 divided by 8 is 4, and 2 divided by 24 is 12. Once again, we have two even numbers in our ladder, so again, we're going to use 2 as our lowest prime number. 2 can go into 4 2 times, and 2 can go into 12 6 times. All right, once again, we have another set of two even numbers, which means our outside number again is going to be 2. 2 can go into 2 1 time. 2 can go into 6 3 times. So this gives us both our GCF and our LCM. All right, so our lowest common factor, our lowest common multiple is going to be 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. And then if we have our 8 that we just figured out times 1 is still 8, times 3 is 24. Now we have our greatest common factor as 24, which means our two new equivalent fractions are going to have denominators of 24. All right, in order to get to those denominators, we need to figure out how many times 8 goes into 24. If you know your multiplication facts, you know that 8 times 3 is 24. And since we multiplied the denominator by 3, we must also multiply the numerator by 3. 7 times 3 gives us 21. And same thing here. Conveniently, our denominator on this side is still 24, which means all we have to do is multiply that by 1 to get this denominator. And that means 8 is also multiplied by 1. 8 times 1, of course, is 8. So that's going to give us 21 plus 8, which is 29 24ths. So here we have an improper fraction. All right, 24 can go into 29 one time. Okay, with 5 left over. So our final answer is 1 and 5 24ths. 1 and 5 24ths. All right. So those are your answers for the 6 problems that you were assigned yesterday. And so for today, I just want you guys to log on and do an hour on IXL. All right, start working on your fractions on IXL so that we can strengthen up your understanding of how to add these fractions, all right? And continue to practice your ladder method because I promise you it's going to be a really valuable tool for you guys as you're trying to figure out what the greatest common factors and lowest common multiples are. All right, so thanks, guys.